teachers who have influenced my transformation in this journey of bhakti. So, Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Yontah Pravesha Mama Vachamimam Prashuptam Sanjeevayatyakila Shakti Dharaswadhamna Anyamscha Hastacharana Shravana Tvagadim Pranannamo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam. Thank you. For those of you who are wondering what I was chanting, it was just some invocations to invoke auspiciousness into our space and also to invoke our deepest heartfelt gratitude to our teachers. So today we wanted to have a different format because every week I come and I share what's in my heart, what I've been thinking, what I've been meditating on. So today we thought there's a lot of questions that come in through the Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, and Nitai keeps a tab of them. And then sometimes I also get messages on WhatsApp every single day with a lot of questions. So I thought, why not take time to just have some nice, deep Q&A sessions and matters related to bhakti, related to spirituality, and related to the heart. So Nitai, I know that there was a lot of questions about the principle of karma. How does it work? Because it seems to be very complex. Is it, what is it? And although I have done quite a few classes on this, but it seems that it's still a mystery, and it's good that it's a mystery, but we'll try to see how we can gradually, slowly try and demystify some of the elements of karma and other elements of the practice of bhakti. Because it's very precise, it's invisible, it is paradoxical interplay, and there is free will, there is destiny, and there is divine grace. Karma is sometimes just seen as a model of reward and punishment, but it's more than that. I have mentioned that karma is cosmic law, and how this cosmic law is interwoven into consciousness. So there's a lot of questions regarding this. So I will have Nitai, and if you have questions, you can just send it to Nitai or send it to the chat, and we will try to cover them, because I feel it's not fair that I get to share and you don't get to put me on the spot. So this is it. So Nitai, you're welcome.
Very well. So yeah, there was some questions on karma, which was trying to explain how, like, does God punish people through karma, and why does bad things happen to good people, and why does good things happen? Or is it karma related to that? Or how does it work? Is it just everyone's karma that things are happening to them? And how does this interplay work? That was one.
Very nice question. Does everybody like that question? You can give Nitai hearts if you like your question. You can just keep showering him with hearts. Nitai will feel happy. Oh, look at that. Lisa figured it out. Maggie figured it out. Owen, Stacy, Nita, everyone's giving you hearts today. So, beautiful question. I want to tell you a story, because that question is very commonly asked questions, because it's very complex, So the story is of a sage who is on the bank of the ocean, and he was peacefully going there to take his bath in the ocean. And he notices that there is a scorpion, and the scorpion doesn't realize that it's walking towards the water and is about to drown. By the time the sage gets close to the ocean shore, fair enough, the tide comes in and takes the scorpion into the water. So the sage, what does he do? He puts his hand together and he picks up the scorpion and carries him to the shore and releases the scorpion on dry land. What happens? The scorpion doesn't know where it's going and starts to walk back into the water and gets back into the water and starts to drown. And the sage goes and picks the scorpion back up and puts it back on the shore. And this time the scorpion bites the sage. You know, the scorpions, they sting. Anyone ever bitten by a scorpion? If you haven't, I don't recommend you try it because I have been bitten by a scorpion and it's not a lot of fun. It's definitely uh, physically agonizing, and it completely takes your mind and focuses it on the spot where it's stung because it's very painful. So your mind gets very focused. That's what the scorpions do. They make you very focused on one particular part of your body, depends on where they sting. So this sage picks up the scorpion as it's drowning and puts it back, and the scorpion bites. And the snake keeps doing his thing to prevent the scorpion from drowning, and the scorpion does what it does and starts biting it. So a person sitting next to on the side of the ocean walks up to this sage. He said, "Hey man, what are you doing? I see that you're in pain, you're suffering, and yet you keep doing the same foolish mistake of touching that scorpion. You should leave the scorpion alone." So the sage explains that I am doing my dharma, I'm doing my duty, my karma, and the scorpion is doing its karma, and it's what its nature. So the moral of this story that we study in the Vedas is that we all have certain psychophysical natures and we will do certain karma. Just because he's a sage does not mean that he's not going to get stung and he's not going to suffer and he's not going to feel the pain. The scorpion will not discriminate. So in this material world, when we look at, for example, the rain that falls from the sky, this beautiful arrangement of the divine that arranges that this rain comes down and arranges for all the vegetation to grow so nicely so that we can all be nourished. So this rain is the cause of the vegetables and the vegetation on this planet. But we should also keep in mind as the rain showers its all over the planet, the weeds also grow around and around the vegetation. So we have to keep in mind what seeds that we have sown on the ground. Whatever seeds you sow, those seeds will eventually start to grow. So sometimes it may seem like, why do bad things happen to good people? Because it begs that question, what is good and what is bad? And it also begs the question that the laws, the cosmic laws, maybe are biased or something is not right about it. So these laws of karma explains that it is so complex, it's so difficult to understand how it works and how consciousness plays such an intricate role in the consequences that one is subjected to based on uh, the unseen, invisible seeds that are laying underneath. So we may have this life, but the accumulation of karmic seeds that we have brought with us, that we have planted in so many lifetimes, we do not know. But the indiscriminate mercy of the divine is like the rains, it's always showering to nourish. It's evenly spread. It's not like only Nitai gets rain in his part of the house and I don't get rain. It showers everywhere. And depending on what seed is we have sown, and that seed will start to grow. So this is how karma works. So it's not something that karma is not selective process of some creator that decides to punish you and not punish another. It is the seeds that we carry with us in our bags and where we saw those, plant those seeds, and it'll start to grow. Does that make any sense, Nitai? How these laws of karma work? Just because you're a nice person doesn't mean you're going to be free of the reactions of karma. Just because someone is pretty, someone is cute. Just because someone is cute doesn't mean, or they're born with incredible features, doesn't mean that they have the most beautiful smile. So, Nitai, what other questions? Does anyone want to add anything, or did it make clear that answer? Was I able to do justice to Nitai's questions? Because see, we have to understand one thing, that karma is infallible and incomprehensible. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains in chapter 4 of the Gita, there's a very beautiful text you can study. It's text 17. He used this term, Gahana Karmano Gati. The path of karma is unfathomable because it's through this karma that there is an absolute justice system. It unfolds in mysterious ways, and it's difficult to understand. Like, why does a child suffer when he's born? I mean, I'll tell you this crazy story. This crazy story. This is a personal story. You may not think it's crazy, but I'll share it with you. But I went to meet my father, who I haven't met for most of my life. So when he was dying, I wanted to get to know my father. I wanted to know who he was. I wanted to know who he thought I was. I wanted to know, uh, understand myself from his lens. And he was suffering from cancer. He had throat cancer and he was dying. And I went to visit him in the hospital. It was a cancer hospital. And when I visited him, I noticed that there are so many children in this cancer hospital. So many children. And it broke my heart to see children with cancer. When I was standing in the middle of the hallway talking to one of the nurses, trying to understand my father's uh, timeline for departure, and the doctors were there. And they said he has 1 month to live. And so I was quite excited. And I was shared with my father my excitement that he has such a gift to know that he has 1 month. Who gets that kind of a benediction? I mean, it's such a gift to know when you're going to leave. Most people don't know. Most people don't have answers to when they're going to be evicted from their homes. But my father knew because he was told. And as I was standing, I see this mother right next to me walking. Mother is crying so profusely, and she's holding on to her little baby. And she's crying, and her tears are rolling, and her clothes are soaking wet in tears of pain and agony and helplessness. I'm watching that and I can't stop crying because, to see a mother cry and she's holding on to her husband and they're both holding on to this little baby, maybe like, I don't know, I want to guess that it was maybe a 4-year-old baby. And then I stopped to ask the lady, why are you crying? Because the doctor had told them that they have 1 week, and in 1 week they will be separated from their child. Imagine a mother who her very life is this little child, and in 1 week this child will be taken away. And the child doesn't understand what's happening. And the child has a smile on his face, and it's it's a very vivid image. Like it's so real. And this child is trying to wipe the tears of the mother. And I was just thinking, wow, what is this? What is this world? What is happening now? Why is God so cruel? Why is this poor kid? So this, you may see it, and it happens all the time in the world. So how do you explain this? And this is why understanding the laws of karma helps us. Krishna explains to Arjuna in the Gita that it is through knowledge, it is through gyan, it is through the light of knowledge that one can overcome the influences of karma. It is through the knowledge that one can overcome this. If we don't have knowledge, if we don't have light on our side, we will be completely swallowed and swallowed by darkness. So this was the question that triggered this deep discussion for me to search into these laws of karma and really trying to karma no gati, that the path of karma is unfathomable. So if we try to make sense of it, it might be a long journey for you. So Cynthia, you want to add some questions or comments to this?
Yes, thank you. I'm a little emotional. Um, it reminded me of my little great niece that passed away from cancer at 5 years old. And her birthday was just the other day, so it's kind of fresh in my mind. But sometimes I think of karma as lessons that are just waiting for us to learn, and that we're all students, and the universe throws stuff at us to learn, and it's kind of waiting for us to get that epiphany, or like you were saying, knowledge to work through that. And then so I kind of look at karma as a almost like a tier. There's karma and then there's a lesson. And if that lesson is learned, we are able to share that knowledge, um, not necessarily as a teacher. A teacher might be a big word, but as a human to do seva for others to help them understand the situation, just like what you just did in your beautiful knowledge and your beautiful words. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Cynthia. That was beautiful. I appreciate you sharing your strength and your power with us.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, Nitai, we'll come back to Nitai. Nitai has been piled up with some questions. And you're welcome to pile up Nitai with more questions. Go ahead, Nitai.
Yeah. So you mentioned like how karma is mitigated by knowledge and like how it divine showers equally on everyone and we do Ganga Snan and things like that to, cleanse ourselves, cleanse our karma, and we do spiritual practices and we do many things like going to India to different places to cleanse ourselves. But why do we still suffer at the end of it? Why is it? So is it like the process is not working? Is it not cleansing anything? Suffering is still going on.
Yeah, good question. I was told when I was young that if I just bathe in the Ganga, all the sinful reactions of all my lifetimes will be washed away. And it's so beautiful because as a kid, I used to bathe in the Ganga every single day. And then I would do silly things like steal some sweets from my friend's plate or something like that. And then I would repent by going to bathing in the Ganga and burn off the karmic reactions of stealing someone else's sweets. So, little silly things. And because I studied so much about the power of bathing in holy places and doing pilgrimages, and this is all true. The yoga texts are very, very prophetic and emphatic in expressing how this principle works. So, but it's very tricky now. I want to answer this because it's very subtle how that works. So when we go to these holy places and we go to the Ganga, like for example, those of you who come to India with me, what are we actually doing? What we are doing is we're actually bathing our consciousness and in bathing our consciousness in the consciousness of the energy of that particular sacred spiritual vortex. And that is literally what a spiritual pilgrimage is, to bathe in this divine energetic vortex. When we bathe in the Ganga, it is not a body of water. It was the liquid form of divine love. That is where we're bathing. So what happens when we do this is we are actually burning off some heavy karma. And how is that work? How does that even work? How that works is that when we go to these energy vortexes, those energetic spaces have presiding energetic personalities. For example, Vrindavan is this town of 5,000 temples. Now maybe 10,000 temples. 5,000 temples was about 50 years ago. 5,000 temples, 10,000 temples. That is because the presiding deity of Vrindavan is the embodiment of love, is Krishna. So when you go and bathe in that energetic space, what happens is he takes over. You're in his house, so he takes over. So what happens is whatever karma you have done previously, It doesn't mean that it's no longer existent, that it's completely eradicated. What happens is now he's saying, I got you. You're in my home. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. And that's basically what we're doing by bathing in those energetic spaces. And what does that mean? What that means is, let me give you an example, a metaphorical example, so it's easier. Say I'm a child and I go to Lisa's house and she's my mom. And I go and steal some ice cream from her refrigerator that she bought. Because I was hungry, I still go and steal some ice cream. Now, she's not going to let me get off the hook. She may punish me. Yes. Now, if same action, I go inside of a grocery store and I steal some ice cream from the grocery store and they call the police. It's the same act. The act is the same, but the consequences are very different. And the one who's providing the consequence is very different. Their intention is different, their actions are different, their modality is different. Now, as a mother, Lisa would take me aside and explain to me, educate me, and give me some chores to do and make sure that I don't take ice cream without asking or eat ice cream before I have my meal. Versus taking ice cream from the grocery store, I'm handed over to the police, I'll get locked up for 24 hours, and so many other things could happen. That is the difference. When we go to these sacred places, the divine takes over and says, my dear child, I got you. You did something wrong, a little slap on the wrist. So basically, divine takes charge of our karma. And that is why we go to those places, we do those sacred baths in the Ganga, we go to pilgrimages. So basically, what I'm saying is the suffering doesn't end. It's not that all of a sudden your karmic reactions are over. What happens is there's someone who loves you, is going to correct you. It's the same correctional process. The correction is the same principle in both places. One is done by the mom, and one is done by someone that may not have the same loving intention and affection that a mother has. And so therefore, when we go to these places like Vrindavan, take bath in the Ganga and take bath in the Yamuna, and just be bathing our consciousness in those energy vortexes, this is what we're doing. Does that make any sense, Nita?
Yeah, makes sense.
Lakshman has some questions, or he has some additions or subtractions. Please welcome. Lakshman, you there? I see your hand.
I think a different Leo.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, this is Leo
Yes.
from Alabama.
Hey, Alabama.
Yes, Prabhu. So my question would be, since the topic is about karma, so holy, on holy sacred dates, um, how is fasting, on these type of dates? How should it be applied, and what's the recommended etiquette for it, as well as because for each, let's say, Ekadashi or an appearance day, each one has its own effect, somewhat in a sense. And if if by chance anybody, by just not even informed about it, actually fasts on that day, will there still be benefit, even though if there's no spiritual practice, no mantra meditation, etc.?
Great question, and I will answer you with a story, if that's okay with you.
Chai?
There is a beautiful story in this ancient yoga text called the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, for Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is a story about a Brahmana, of a very, very pious, saintly, knowledgeable, intellectual, pious man. And he did everything right in his life. As a child, he was raised to, uphold utmost level of spiritual practices, and he remained a very pure person. But what happened, he gave up his practices, and because he observed a man and a woman publicly embraced in an amorous manner, and that captivated his imagination, and then he was very tempted. And then so he basically gave up his whole spiritual practices, and he got a hold of that lady's number, and he pursued a life with her. And so deeply engrossed in gratifying his senses, just nonstop indulging in gratifying his senses, that he completely forgot who he was and what he was. Everything that he was taught, every value that he practiced, that he was a student of, he threw everything out the window. And he committed every crime that he possibly could in pursuit of gratifying his senses. And so finally, when it comes to the time of his departure from this world, he accidentally had named his son Narayana. Narayana is a very powerful name because it is the sound vibration of Narayana is sufficient to elevate the consciousness, transport the consciousness from this material body to its topmost level of spiritual body in the spiritual world. So he had named his son Narayan, and because he was dying and his son was the most adorable object in his life and the most dearmost object, so he called out for his son as he was dying. He didn't call God. He didn't call God. Narayan is the name of God. He didn't call God because he forgot about God. He just called for his son. So he accidentally called his son. And what was the reaction? The reaction of that, he was completely freed from all the crimes that he had committed. And immediately the residents of the spiritual worlds, they came down and they got him. And they took his soul back to the spiritual world. So even if you don't know you're fasting, but you're fasting on an auspicious day, do you get spiritual benefits? Yes. So this is the power of, spiritual activities. It completely creates a completely new destiny. I think, Lisa, Leo, was I able to shed some light on your question?
Yeah, just the potency of the holy name, and I believe that's the pastime of Ajamil. I'm not
Yes,
sure
Ajami
it's
from the Bhagavatam, yes.
Bhagavatam. And so for because even if from hearing glories of um certain special holy dates, you're still even like what you just telling us, I heard from what I understand is also takes away bad karmic reaction. So thank you, Veriji. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, now we have Lisa wanted to share something. Please, Lisa.
Well, first of all, good morning. And you would be welcome to ice cream in any event, you know. But I was thinking about Nita's question about bathing in the Ganga or having a purification and then continuing to have the suffering. And I was thinking about the example that you gave with the ice cream. If one were to take the ice cream and then go to another place and take the ice cream, as humans, we would be karma generators because the deep intention to take had not been alleviated. We just changed the behavior. And so then we would still be subject to the karma that we're creating moment to moment if we're not mindful. So that's what I heard in your story, and I was appreciating that. Is that on target?
Thank you so much. Beautiful, Lisa. Appreciate it. Okay, Maggie has something she wants to share with us.
Yes, I apologize for the background noise. I'm driving. I have two kind of questions, but the first is in that story that you just told us about Prabhu.
We are not able to hear you properly. You might have to type the question, Maggie.
Oh, okay. You can't hear me now?
It's a little fuzzy. It's a little muffled.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, let me try it real quick. If his crimes were forgiven, but his soul still went back, does that mean that he still has the karma from those crimes? Because he did not receive enlightenment, right?
I didn't understand the question because I couldn't hear you. But I'm happy to answer that question.
It sounds like Nitai got it.
Nita got it?
Yeah, I think hope I heard correctly. If the soul went back, then is karma from this life carried forward or
Done. You're
something
done.
like
When you go home, you're done. It's over. Mama takes over. Okay, Radha.
I was just thinking to Leo's question about fasting, and if you fast and your intention, you're not doing it because it's a codicy. I was just thinking, like, when you're fasting, like in the mode of ignorance, like in the Gita, when the Gita talks about that, when you do those kinds of austerities in the mode of ignorance, you don't get the same spiritual benefit, right?
Yeah, mode of ignorance fasting is there's an intention behind it. It's not unintentional.
Right, like you're fasting, you're performing an austerity just to like deprive yourself for just because. Like I think of that as like if you're fasting just because like you want to be skinny or you want to like, I guess maybe that's the mode of passion, but you're doing it not for higher reasons. Because if you're nobody's just going to fast just to fast. Like you either fast for spiritual reasons, you fast for like health reasons, you fast for like, I mean, I guess I just thought maybe the example that you gave, it was like, it kind of was like, oh, well, even if you don't know what you're doing, but if you're fasting, you're probably doing it for a reason. So that's probably the reaction that you're going to get, right?
Yes.
Leo has his hand up, so maybe he can better articulate.
We have many.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know it's time constrictive, but I was just curious in regards to Prahlad Maharaj, where I think he actually just fasted because of heartbreak or something of that sort in his previous life.
Correct.
So that's just something that came into mind.
Yes. Yes. He became Prahlad. He became this great saint just because he accidentally fasted because his girl dumped him. And he was heartbroken, so he fasted and he became this great saint. It's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. We have Stacy and then Shiva.
I'm just going off of what Radha was saying. I don't know if I'm correct, but for example, if I go to the temple or if I'm with a friend and she's like, if I say, "Oh, we should maybe have lunch," and she says, "Oh, no, we're fasting. Remember, it's a Ekadasi," and I'm like, "Oh yeah," and I'm just fasting to show her. Well, I know it's a Ekadasi. I'm fasting because I want to prove to her that I'm a good devotee. That I feel like that's a different, like if I'm already planning my fast because I know it's a Ekadasi and I want to do this for the Lord, or if I'm trying to just kind of show off because I want to say, yes, I'm a good devotee, so I'm fasting. I don't know if that's kind of what Radha was saying, but it's for the not for the right reasons, really. Does that matter?
You still get the benefit.
Okay.
That's the cool part of spiritual life. Sixth chapter Gita explains, the last verse explains this principle of Neha Vikramana Swasti Pratyavayo. In this spiritual endeavor, there is no loss or diminution. God doesn't see the action, He sees your intent. If the intent is good, He will accept that. And if the intent is bad and the action is good, He will accept that. So whatever you do, you're never at a loss. You're always going to win. So that's the cool part in the practice of bhakti. Okay, Shiva.
Thank you, Papa. So my question is just expanding more on the pilgrimage and how to prepare for that. I do journal, and so I was just wondering, as far as just like, is there anything like else that can be done when you're going on a pilgrimage or before you go on a pilgrimage?
What else is there to do before you go on a pilgrimage?
More so like in preparing and getting in that preparation for the pilgrimage.
You'll sign up and I'll prepare your consciousness 1 month in advance.
Okay.
You just reach out to Nita and he'll sign you up. And come to India with us. Okay.
That's plain.
Perfect. So I have 5 minutes and I just wanted to share some thoughts with you before we end. And I'm sure there's a lot of other questions. I just want to share 2 points with you because I want to tell you that it's such a beautiful thing that we should think of how, if you want to get relief from the pangs of karmic reactions, in order to endure your karma in this life, the best way to do it is to embrace your dharma. So if you want to difficulty, because karma is painful, the reactions are painful, one must embrace one's dharma. And dharma means it means when your heart connects to the universal heart. When the individual heart connects to the universal heart, that is what dharma is. And what that feels like, it's like an umbrella that's providing you shelter from the scorching heat. And this umbrella is so cool because this umbrella also has drops of nectar continuously dropping on you, and you can just like open your mouth and you can drink the nectar. So this example is given in the yoga text about an umbrella being the shelter. And the second point I'll make is that seeking success in karma can be a major trap in your life, because karma means doing good deeds. And it could be a major trap. And there is this great story in the Bhagavatam of a great king named Nriga. He just was such a pious person, and he was giving out so much charity that people would line up, thousands and thousands of sages would line up outside his kingdom. And every day he would give out millions of cows and gold and other gifts in charity every single day, because he wanted to accumulate good karma. What happened? One day he gave 100 cows to a brahmana, to a saintly person. And one of the cows left the shed of this saintly person and came back into the shed of the king. And the king gave that same cow, because he didn't know, and he gave that same cow away in charity the next day to another brahman, another saintly person. What happened? The karmic reaction of that being, he was cursed by this saint. How can you give me something and take it back and give it to someone else? So the saint cursed him and says, you know what? I curse you to be a lizard. So this is the trap of karma, success in karma. So the yoga text explains, the wisdom texts are constantly reminding us that we should not be seeking success in karma, but we should be seeing how we can go beyond karma. Akarma, that means actions that is dedicated to the dharma of the soul, the nature of the soul, which is we, by design of the Creator, is meant to be engaged in service to the Supreme Being. And that is where karma is no longer existent. Karma is only existent, karma and its reactions are only activated when the ego is involved. And the way to get out of this cycle is simply to do work beyond karma and just go above it. So then you're free. So you're no longer subjugated by the laws of karma. We have a special guest with us, I just noticed. R.T. Swami is here. He was jet setting all over the world and is here. And our time is up, but we would love to hear something from you. It's 9 o'clock. We start at 9. I think you're in Central Time, Marge. That's why you're 1 hour behind. We cannot hear you. Can you?
Yeah, I was a little surprised when I got on and everything. You were already talking like the grand finale here. Nice to see you, Veda, and
Happy to see you, Marge.
hear from you today. I'm not sure exactly where the program, what was discussed on the program, so I'll just step aside and continue to listen to the end of the program. Unless you have a question or somebody has a question specifically for me on the topic.
One thing I will recommend, those of you who has questions, Marge is really good at answering questions. That's his forte. He just sits and answers questions all day long. And I've actually been hanging out with him one time, and I remember he sits on the phone and then people are just asking questions and questions, and he's like, and he listens and he listens and he listens.
All the Vedic wisdom texts, they're all based on questions and answers. Someone has a query or understanding that they want to become clear, and they bring that to the sages, and the sages clear it out. And there's a check and balance system to make sure that the information is being conveyed properly, because there's a guru, a teacher, there's sadhus, saintly persons, and there are wisdom texts. They must line up. It's like a check and balance. They line up. If the guru says something that's not agreed by the sages as not in scripture, that's a red light. That's a red flag. And so we have that checks and balance system so that we don't get misled by things which appeal to our material nature. We all have a different material nature, and we all have material desires. And material nature in and of itself is set up to make sure that we're qualified to make the next step into our spiritual journey beyond the material energy, because otherwise people that aren't supposed to get there. So the scriptures and everything and the sadhus and the teacher, they line up and provide proper guidance for us to get through this material energy.
Yeah, we call it the GPS system, or the GSS. Instead of GPS, we call it the GSS, Guru Sadhu Shastra. That's a good one, Marge. Okay, so if you have questions for this for R.T. Swami,
Or Veda,
then you can give it to Nitai, and then we'll have him over to answer questions. I used to love sitting on him answering questions. That's one of my things to do. because it's his expertise. So our time is up, Marge. We are 3 minutes over time.
Okay.
So I'm grateful to each and every one of you for joining us on our weekly Sangha. And please keep in mind that we have a retreat coming up in New York in Catskills. And please check out, Nita can send you all the details. And Nita works really hard keeping our social media thing alive and active. You can check out all the details. And then there's so many retreats that are coming up. There's a WhatsApp group you can be informed with, and there is a website you can be, so there's ways you can stay connected. So just ask Nita and Keshavi, they'll help you out.
Wanted to make a plug. So the retreat in the Catskills is about Dharma. So we would love to see you guys there. And early bird ends on Wednesday. So please sign up if you want to join us.
So Baba Mai has questions, but you'll have to send the questions to Nita and he'll send it to Arti Swami, and then we'll get you connected, Baba Mai. Okay, namaste, beautiful souls. Please have a wonderful day, and we will see you next Saturday.